This is Red, White, and Bluegrass.
The field of Democrats hoping to replace Senator Mitch McConnell has grown larger. Former Louisville state lawmaker Charles Booker has announced his third run for Senate in Kentucky. Booker was previously the Democratic nominee against Rand Paul in 2022 and also attempted a run in 2020 but failed to win the primary against Amy McGrath, who's also running this year. Booker now joins former Secret Service agent Logan Forsythe, former Marine fighter pilot Amy McGrath, Louisville State Representative Pam Stevenson, horse trainer Dale Romans, and former CIA officer Joel Willett on the Democratic primary ballot. Jared Randall and Vincent Thompson have also declared candidacies in the race. Here to give us some more analysis on this, we have RWB political analyst Jonathan Miller to join me here. We got a packed field of candidates, as you saw there on the screen. So what does Booker's entry mean for everybody else in that field, and what's he really bringing to it?
You know, it's fascinating because if you look at this from the national level, most of the experts in D.C. consider this a pretty red state and a likely Republican, if not solid Republican seat. And yet you're getting so many candidates in this race and so many that have strong name recognitions and electoral track records. And I think Charles Booker probably comes in now as the favorite in the race, given his strong primary last year, getting into the general against Rand Paul, and then earlier almost beating Amy McGrath, who had been much more funded in the two-year cycle before that. So it is going to be a very entertaining race with the expected possibility that they might get crushed in the general election if national trends continue.
His campaign debt was talked about as a possible hurdle he'll have to deal with. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's much of a hurdle. I mean, the amount of money that he's in debt is something that he'd be able to quickly overcome in the initial phases of the race. He's got a very strong grassroots fundraising effort, small donors, and my sense is that won't be much of an obstacle going forward.
You mentioned you see Booker as a favorite starting off. He's going to be, facing Amy McGrath again in this race. Why do you think he's got an advantage over her this time around?
I just think he's, he almost beat her during the first go-around when he was much lesser funded than she was. And then he then had a very successful primary race. It wasn't a successful general election, but has really kind of struck a chord, particularly in Lexington and Louisville, where most Democrats live. Yeah, I do think that doesn't mean he's going to necessarily win it. I think that the two of them have a solid lead over the rest of the field. And then Dale Romans, to use a horse analogy, might be a couple furlongs behind, but could conceivably catch up with him with the right amount of money and the right message.
Yeah, Romans is another factor in this race. He is bringing a lot of money here, so how does that shake things up whenever it comes to really building some name recognition for not just him, but you also got some other candidates here who also have that big name recognition hurdle to go through.
Yeah, I mean, he starts off behind, given Amy McGrath and Charles Booker's strong name recognition to begin with, but if he's able to continue to put together the money that he's started to in terms of fundraising and then conceivably help self-fund it with millions of his own money, that makes him a very credible candidate. And he's got a different message. He's talking more from the central part of the party as opposed to the left, and that might appeal to a lot of more moderate to conservative Democrats in Kentucky.
How likely is it that we're going to see at least one of these candidates here drop out and potentially endorse another candidate in this race and consolidate some support behind them?
Other than those top three, the other candidates face a real uphill challenge, and so I don't know how many of them will revisit this and say, maybe this is not my year, and conceivably endorse. But those kinds of endorsements, if you get endorsement from somebody who's not well known, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. So I don't see that playing into the final tally.
10 seconds left here. What's the likelihood that Governor Andy Beshear will endorse in this primary?
I think very close to zero. He's looking at the presidency race, and I doubt he wants to get himself in a intra-party struggle right now.
All right, Jonathan Miller, thank you very much. The filing deadline is January 9th. We'll keep you updated. Up next, it's being called a crisis in Kentucky, so how much of the upcoming General Assembly session will focus on addressing the Commonwealth's critical housing needs?
You're watching Red, White, and Bluegrass.